Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Sports Bash YouTube channel. I'm Mishit and I have my regular panelist Dwaipan and Jay with me, helping me to make sense of the second high scoring run fest that we just saw. The second match between CSK and RR. We had this discussion about the first match. You can check that out on Sports Bash channel. But the second match of the Super Saturday, where we saw as compared as a contrast to the previous one, which was a very low scoring one. This was a run fest where we enjoyed seeing, and obviously everyone hoped that CSK would win with the performance that they had, but then RR chasing it quite easily and a very dominating run chase by RR on the other side. So let's hope our panelists are able to help us make some sense of how RR was able to perform and bounce back so easily. So my first question to Dwaipan about how Ruturaj Gaikwad has performed so easily in each and every match. His consistency is something that is a testament to how CSK has bounced back, and Ruturaj has played an important role in that. He now becomes the first batsman to score 500 runs in this season of the IPL. I mean, in the previous editions, we have seen that the multiple batsmen easily eclipsing the 500 mark easily after the 10th or 11th match. But this time, especially because of the periods of Sharjah, we haven't seen high scoring matches. And in such conditions, eclipsing the 500 mark is a great feat. So young Ruturaj Gaikwad has been able to do that. Now he's the orange cap holder as well, eclipsing KL Rahul. So how do you feel Ruturaj has performed, being the fourth centurion for this season's IPL? And do you feel that he has made some important changes in his batting? Or how do you analyze his performance so far?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I remember seeing Ruturaj Gaikwad for the first time in an India A game, where I saw that game because of Shubman Gill. But that's, I saw him for the first time, and he's slightly elder to Shubman Gill. He's 2-3 years elder. So it's like, I think 3 years back. Okay. Shubman Gill that time was what everyone wanted to see more about. But Gaikwad was what I thought, this guy, even at that one innings, you just see one innings play, one batsman play something, and you feel, he's got that thing. In IPL 2020, he got off starts to, horrible starts, but once he opened, those 350s and all. In this tournament, I feel CSK is one of the most important people to, get that turn around for them was Ruturaj Gaikwad at the start, because we saw them playing like an almost primitive team in IPL 2020, where they just could not get the runs at the start. And he's got this. I put out a tweet as well, that this is a example of batters having more time than what they think, even in this format of the game. Ruturaj Gaikwad was 30 of 29, and then he ended up 101 of 60 with percentage cricket. He does not play those lap shots too much now. Maybe he would incorporate them a bit later in his career, but he's focused on playing proper cricketing shots, playing the ball on its merit, which shows that he's probably tailor made for the other formats as well, and also shows that you can have all the basics. You would do the basics right and still excel in the T20 game. And I've just mesmerized by what he did. That last ball, I at one point, as Jay said, Jadeja was stealing the show, but last ball 6 and all, it was good. I'm very impressed to see this.
I would like to add on to what Weapon said. Like the way he had batted, it shows that you don't need just raw power to hit the ball across. If you're getting the timing right and if you're having the right kind of skill, so you can easily get the ball across the boundary, and that shows in the kind of skill Ruturaj Gaikwad showed. And including in the last six, as soon as he hit the ball, he just turned around and he was celebrating because the kind of knock, the kind of sound that it gave, and the way that he had timed it. Even in the post-match interview, he was talking about the timing that he had. As soon as the ball hit the bat, he knew that it is going to go across the boundary, and he has done what he had come to do. And so seeing that and the way it ended, it was.
And not only that shot, you see some of those shots, and you just see he just touched it and flicked it, and it just went away.
Graceful timing.
True. So it comes from being in a team where Dhoni is leading from the front. I mean, Dhoni is an expert of hitting the no-look sixes, so to speak, where you are sure that the ball will be out of the park. But yeah, I mean, important points raised by both our panelists about how it's important that it's not just raw power, but impeccable timing can also, help you pace your innings. And there was this commentator I forgot the name, but he raised an important point that the performance, the knock of Ruturaj Gaikwad, especially in this match, can be a manual for all the players, who can uh,
All the aspirants, the
decide on how to
batsman who wants
pace
to
your
come out.
innings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like as Dvaipan said, I mean, you have a lot of time. I mean, 20 overs they pass in a flash, so to speak, and there's a lot of pressure. But still, if you know how to pace your innings quite well, you have a lot of balls that you can get, and you can pace your innings depending upon. So the way Ruturaj played today was very mature and very sensible as well. So obviously, with the performance of CSK in the first innings, everyone thought that it will be very hard for RR to bounce back, and it will be a CSK show through and through. But with the way the RR batsmen pulverized and demolished and destroyed the CSK bowling, so to speak, was a sight to behold. And coming to Jai, I would like to ask you about how do you feel? I mean, young Yashasvi Jaiswal performing so brilliantly at the start, and then Shivam Dubey joining him, hitting sixes and hitting balls out of the park. A brilliant performance by RR, and that easily dominated and reached the score of 190 against a strong bowling lineup of CSK. So, how do you feel the performance of RR in today's match?
Watching them play today, you get reminded of the way Venkatesh Ayer plays. That kind of free, carefree batting that you do. The way when you get into your own rhythm and you're just hitting the ball here and there, and you're not caring about how it is going to come out, because Rajasthan Royals, I guess, after their last game, they had a bit of steam off them, and when they came into this game, we saw Yashasvi Jaiswal. He came out, he started knocking, he got to 50s in, I guess, around 19 balls, 19 or 21 balls. And so, that knock pushed them off the kind of strike rate that CSK had. And at the end of the game, that was the strike rate that they were having in the power play. And so, the kind of strike rate needed halfway through the game was almost around 6 per over. So, the way they brought it down to that was an amazing, it was a really good match to see. When we watch it, we really get engrossed in the way they bat, the kind of knocks that they were hitting. That was just carefree, it was a skill that Yashasvi, Jaiswal had. And today we saw Sanju Samson was also guiding Shivam Dubey when he was on the crease. So he was coming in and he was just pushing him along. And at that point, Shivam Dubey was also hitting it here and there, and Sam Curran he had to almost leave the field because of that when he almost got injured there. And in between, we had a moment where Evan Lewis, even he had some problem in his hand. So there was a bit of a scare there. Maybe Evan Lewis might had to walk away from that point. But in the very next over, we are seeing even him hitting balls across the boundaries. So the kind of batting that Rajasthan Royals has showed today really deserved the win that they got, because 190, I guess it was 189, the score to chase 189 against CSK, even though I guess they were sitting Deepak Chahar and Dwayne Bravo out, but still the kind of bowling lineup that they have was still no joke. Like Hazelwood got beat today. Sam Curran, every time he's showing up, they are just showing no mercy to the kid. Every time he's coming in place of Dwayne Bravo, and every chance that he gets, he's getting the wind is getting knocked out of him. So it has been a really hard time for Sam Curran. So it has been a
That's true.
splendid performance on Rajasthan Royals' part.
Yeah, so
True.
just two small additions I would like to say is all RCB fans now are like, यार शिवम दुबे हमारे लिए तो इतने मैच खेला, कुछ नहीं किया, ठीक है, and RR gave him one chance in the 12th game of the tournament, and he's played like this. So yeah, Shivam Dubey, I don't read too much into one match's performances by anyone, because it just can happen. But Shivam Dubey today, even I and Jay were speaking, right? The kind of start they got, I thought, it's a good start, but I don't think they'll be able to continue this. Not only were they able to continue, but they finished it in a canter, right? Secondly, I feel that Sanju Samson's role was very important. It was important for someone to, not everyone to come and just hit his shots, go there. At the end of 6 overs, there were 81. So even at that point of time, only the required run rate was under 8. So at that point, you need someone, who has that cricketing smarts to wisdom to just share that we need not go through this rate for the next 5-6 overs. And that's what happened. The two openers departed, and Moin Ali came, Jadeja came, and Dubey happened. So it's for RR. I mean, it's a huge moral booster kind of a win. See,
For sure.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
so
all.
I feel
And
that
like,
we can also draw parallels between the important role of Shreyas Iyer that we discussed in the previous match
yeah,
and the
definitely.
important role of Sanju Samson, where it's not always important to hit every ball out of the park, but the way you drop the anchor and the way you boost the morale of the players around you can also make a lot of difference. So in the previous matches of RR, we have discussed on the channel where we have talked about the important role of Sanju Samson and how he has been single-handedly taking up the responsibility of RR, and the other batsmen also need to help him and perform well. But today we saw that the other batsmen like Shivam Dube and Jaiswal taking up the lead and performing so well. So, and yeah, coming back to Dwaipan, I mean, you said about Shivam Dube not performing for RCB, but now performing for RR. But yeah, Maxwell was there for Punjab and Priti Zinta's a lucky charm, but not performing. But in RCB, he has found his home. So at the end of the day, if somehow some team home, the environment works for you, then it works for you. So, but now it brings us to the discussion of the day. I mean, as Vaipan rightly mentioned, this performance by RR today is a huge moral booster for them. For CSK, a victory or a loss wouldn't have made any difference. I mean, they have been cruising in this season of the IPL, but for RR, maybe some hope at the end of the tunnel, that, so to speak, figuratively, because now the mid section of the points table is jam-packed with four teams reaching the 10 points, and RR also, with this such performance, they might seem confident to enter the playoffs with the remotest possibility. So my questions to both the panelists is: do you see RR having a slightest chance of entering the playoffs? And if yes, what do you feel? How should they re-strategize as a group, and how should they perform well, or don't you see any chance for them? So first Jai and then Viper.
I would say, like, till the last moment, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. It has been a number of times in the IPL that we have seen teams come off from such situations where they have to win each and every game and go on to win the IPL. There have been a few instances, one with Hyderabad, one with Mumbai. So it is not entirely impossible for that to happen. So for these people to lose hope and just, like, give up on that, so that would show in their game and that would make for less exciting matches, so as to say. So Rajasthan Royals, MI, KKR, Punjab, give all of the teams giving it their all, coming out and performing, and it is just a matter of it clicking with one team or not clicking with the other. Because as we talk right now, Sanju Samson was hitting out, and then in one game where they had a decent opening, and then Sanju Samson and the middle order was a no-show. So everything has to come and click into place. The bowling has to do good, the batting has to do good, and it needs to all fall into place, and the net run rate that is required. So is completely impossible, but, like, keeping them on in the fourth place is also another thing that we cannot do. So it is just going to be a really exciting tournament at this match where four teams are fighting for the one spot that is there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
What about you, Viper?
yeah. See, what I'd like to add that I forgot in the last part is when Ruturaj Gaikwad today, if we all saw that match, hit that six where he got to his century, which was the last ball of the Chennai innings. There was a brief shot of the Rajasthan dugout, and it was a despondent image. Someone just dropped their heads, shoulders, and I pretty much call out some games by how a team particularly feels at some point of the time. Like I'll just bring out that great Australia South Africa game in 2006 where they chased 438. South Africa went back after Australia did that, and Jack Callis, it's a famous tale, he came and said that I think what, they are 15 runs short, and that's what happened. That just spurred up. So if I had the power of being at any place, for a period of time, I want to be in the RR dugout in that innings break. Either Shah Rukh Khan, either some Sanju Samson did a Shah Rukh Khan from Chak De India, 70 minutes, something like that. Something happened and they just cheered up. Jaiswal 19 ball 50. I mean, I saw Jaiswal getting those pretty 30s, and also, yeah, I thought something like this was on the cards. All the previous 3-4 games were somewhere where he is getting off the starts. But and this is the mindset that I want to see them in the rest of the games, which will, I'm sure, help them qualify, because it's a very fearless attitude. It's how young players should play the game. It's how it makes entertaining. It was the first high scoring game in a long time. All scores were 150, 160. So it was a welcome change for the fans, for the people who watch the sport. And but Rajasthan's game, I mean, it's I loved the chase, man. The way different people came up and dismantled the CSK bowling attack. However,
Like, Josh Hazelwood, the way he was today, seen taking 3 or 4 wickets, I guess, in the last game, and he had a really good, he had a
Yeah.
really good economy too. And this time, even he was smashed out, and there was no reply to the kind of batting that Rajasthan Royals had.
So
And
RR was in.
yeah, sorry, last thing. The Josh Hazelwood, imagine he's a test match international Australia. He's not anybody, he's not. Avesh Khan is also good. Josh Hazelwood is something, and Yashasvi Jaiswal, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, now he comes up. This is what the IPL is all about. I love seeing all this.
For sure. So yeah, so that everyone has a doubts about IPL, losing its charm and all, but such matches and such performances brings out the beauty of IPL, and reposes our faith in such tournaments. So yeah, a destructive batting by both the teams, but especially more destructive by RR. We had great performances and great scores today. We had the fourth highest 50 by an RR batsman by Jaiswal, the highest individual batting performance in a power play, 50 runs by Jaiswal. So great records today, and finally the fans got what they wanted, a run fest, so to speak. But once again, quickly, a small trivia question to both of you. It's regarding CSK, because CSK has always been a fan favorite, so to speak. So a two-parter. CSK has the highest win percentage against which team? And CSK had the mammoth total of 246 for 5 against which team? So a two-part.
246 for 5 happened against RR. I know.
So today, once again. So that's why I brought this question. Yes.
Yeah, 246 for 5 happened.
Remember
the game, RR almost chased it down.
Down, yeah. So I got that feeling in today's match as well. So brought this
That's
question
also the match where Murli Vijay scored that 127, right? And what was the other question?
CSK's highest percentage, victory
I think
percentage
it's against Sunrise Hyderabad, 75.
Correct.
70. Yeah.
Correct. So that brings us to the preview part as well. So I kept this. It was against Hyderabad. So we have Hyderabad in tomorrow's match. Once again with KKR. So brief preview.
I have to say this. I love how Nishit seamlessly transitioned into the preview through a trivia question. Nice one. You're good at this.
Yeah. So we have KKR versus Hyderabad. I mean, KKR seems to have the highest probable chances of getting into the playoffs, and Hyderabad obviously can only be can play the spoil sport, so to speak. They have nothing to lose, nothing to win. But yeah, Hyderabad clearly no show for this season of the IPL, but they can end their this leg of the IPL on a high by performing against KKR. So a question to both the panelists: who do you feel might perform well for KKR or Hyderabad? And do you see Hyderabad bouncing back, or you feel KKR easily sailing through tomorrow's encounter? So first Dwaipan and then Jay.
Yeah, for Kolkata, I feel more than about who wins. I don't know. I'm looking forward to a good close contest. But Shubman Gill is a concern for me. He just seems slightly out of place. He just seems, he's opened all the games. He opened in IPL 2020. He's opened now. And look at what other openers have done. Devdutt Padikkal, Ruturaj Gaikwad. Shubman Gill is more hyped up. His game is supposed to be somewhere above these guys, and currently on current form, Shubman Gill is nowhere close. He might be a good test batsman, ODI batsman, but the T20 is somewhere where his technique, not the technique, his just overall way to accumulate runs found wanting. And for SRH, I'm just sad to see SRH. So I just think this season never happened for them. But I think KKR, if KKR loses tomorrow, they'll just feel, ab kya hoga? I want that moment to happen.
So I mean, there will be 3 teams that will be rooting for
out of the tournament. If that happens, I guess KKR will no longer have any chance. And as much as I see KKR, I want KKR to perform good, but I guess SRH is not going to let it be easy, because even though they went out very bad against CSK in the previous game, but last match, if you remember, SRH, they gave a really good fight. So it is all about the day and how the boys come out and they perform on the game tomorrow. So I guess SRH is going to give it their all, because they want to still show that they still have something. They still might, they might be lacking the spark, and maybe this game does it, or there is something that they still have to show. They still might have a point to prove, coming out and maybe winning at least the last few games. So I don't think they'll be letting it go easy on KKR. But if KKR wants to get to the qualifiers, they have to win this one.
So interesting points raised by both panelists, and we have a Super Sunday tomorrow. So we are hoping, the fans are hoping that both the encounters prove to be riveting.